Hello everyone, I'm Justin. Welcome to this video. And if, like me, you are curious as to what the future holds for us here in our homes, locked in for the next few months with the impact of coronavirus, then you might find the next few minutes useful. I've tried to draw and illustrate where I think we might be going over the next few months. And the reason I've done this is I was curious as to how do I set my mindset and how do I plan for the coming weeks. There's a lot of confusion as to how long is this going to last. Is it going to be a few weeks, a few months, years? Doesn't seem to be a lot of consistency of messaging. So I took the time to read around the subject, and I came across some really interesting bits and pieces, which I'll link in the description below. But in a short summary, I've tried to draw out what we can expect, what kind of changes to the enforcement of the rules, the time between that and what's going to happen, and yeah, hopefully that'll help you plan for your next few months. So on the screen, just bring it up here. This is the graph I've used, something quite simple, just the number of new cases on the left and the y-axis, and time across the bottom on the x-axis. And first of all, just started off by drawing the line, the outcome that you've probably seen before, which is if we do nothing, what will it look like and what kind of future does it hold for us? And it's not a pretty one. So it shows a really steep increase in the number of new cases, and as soon as it goes past that red line, which is the capacity of the health system, we see loads of unnecessary deaths, which is the shaded red part. What the government are trying to do, they're trying to slow that down, have a more gentle increment of cases. You've probably seen this again before, so it's a much more gentle curve to that line and back down again. I've squished this together a little bit just so I can fit it all on one page, but normally that line would be drawn out much longer over time. So what can we expect? So we're probably going to see increases and decreases in number of new cases. So we're going to see peaks and troughs at points of new cases appearing over time. What we've started to see already is to slow the number of new cases appearing is new rules that the government has enforced. And the first one that we've seen already was the case isolation. So if you have symptoms, you stay at home and isolate. And the next rule brought in, I start with voluntary quarantining. So if you've been in contact with someone who's been sick, quarantine yourself for 14 days, which has been recommended. So we've seen that already. As cases continue to rise, more rules are brought in. So the next one is the distancing, social distancing of people over 70 and vulnerable people. So we've seen that brought in as well. We've also then seen the social distancing for everyone brought in as cases continue to rise. So that's been brought in as well. More recently, we've seen the rule about the closing of schools, gyms, pubs, restaurants. That's happened as well to try and limit that transmission and stop us mixing together. So that's happened recently. And today's date is the 25th of March, and the most recent change has been the enforcement of staying at home, which has been brought in, and the police have got the powers to get you to stay at home. So this is where we are at the minute. So we're allowed to go out once a day for some exercise, but need to stay at home unless you're an essential services worker. So that's where we are, and that must be because the number of cases continues to rise and we're risking our health service by letting that happen. One stage that hasn't happened yet, which may happen, is the lockdown enforcement by armed forces. I think what would happen if the police aren't able to contain people staying in their homes enough, I think they'll get help from the armed forces, and we'll see people on the street in camouflage gear asking us to stay at home as well. So that may happen depending on if the cases continue to rise. That may be a possible outcome. Time wise, how long can we expect between each of these peaks and troughs? Well, I guess, and from what I've read, I think we're going to see at least a minimum of 3 months, but more likely 5 to 6 months between each peak and trough of new cases. And as we increase our number of cases, more rules are brought in, and the rules are tightened. And as new cases start to drop, these rules are slackened, and we're given a bit more breathing room. Normality comes back, but inevitably there's going to be a rebound, and we're going to start increasing the number of cases, and we're going to have to bring these new rules back in again to slow things down. So in summary, I think we can expect quite a disruptive 18 months ahead of us, and to help you plan, I think that's what you're going to be able to expect. Rules coming in, rules going out, but it's not going to be linear. It's probably going to look more like what's on the screen now. It's going to be all over the place, I think. So it's going to go up and down. I think rules have to come come out, schools will open, schools will close. It's going to be very disruptive, so expect that for the next 15-18 months. Expect some severe disruption. So although not great news, hopefully that's useful in the sense of you can plan and have a little bit of a better idea of what's coming, and we'll see what happens. This may change, so if there is big changes, I'll try and make a new video and put my thoughts across that way. But hopefully you found that useful. Stick your comments down below. I'll be interested to hear what you think, whether you think of something I've forgotten about, or it might be something that will impact this in a big way. Yeah, hopefully that'll give you some value. So please like, please share, and yeah, comment, let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll make another video if needed pretty soon. Cheers.